Welcome to the C-Suite Mentor, the place where you will learn the tools, strategies, and mindset to scale your business sustainably and build a lasting legacy. I'm your host, Theresa. As a fellow CEO, I understand what it takes to scale a business to 7 and multiple 8 figures. It's not necessarily what you might think. It requires a complete shift in how you think, strategize, and execute key actions in your business. My mission is to help CEOs step back into the driver's seat of their business by optimizing their operations, empowering their team, and staying in total alignment with their big vision. So, are you ready to exchange everything that hasn't worked for strategies that will? You're in the right place, so let's go. Hello there, and welcome back to another episode of the C-Suite Mentor podcast with me, your host, Theresa. And today we are talking about how to thrive in ambiguity as a CEO and as a leader, especially with everything that we have had to navigate over the past 4 or 5 years, really. And really, what does that mean? What is ambiguity and what does it mean? So for me, I am not one about like Webster definitions and stuff. But my best friend, we used to call her the human dictionary because she knew words that most people didn't know. She knew the definition of them. And we used to we would have conversations and I would have to have a dictionary with me so we could actually look up the meaning of these words. So ambiguity, this is an easier one. So the way that I look at it is it's uncertainty. And as a CEO, we need to be able to thrive in uncertainty. And the funny thing is that a lot of the leaders that I've been exposed to and that I have worked with over the years, whether in my corporate job or even when I was in my teens and working in retail, and now as a business coach and consultant, most people do not like to function in uncertainty. And it ends up leading to freezing, not taking action, especially in crisis situations and situations where things are not necessarily going the way that you wanted them to go, even though you very may well have had a full plan as far as what you wanted to do. So I look at this, and really this can apply to life, just life in general, and in our businesses. But thriving in uncertainty and having that lack of clarity in a situation or something that comes up in a project, in just really anything, it can really stem from changes in customer needs, changes in the market, a change in your business. It can come from ever-changing landscapes. Some industries, those landscapes change rapidly. The technology industry is constantly changing and constantly thrives really in uncertainty. But we have to learn how to really embrace that. And like I said, most people, most leaders that I've worked with, most CEOs that I've worked with don't really like to or don't want to really function and make decisions in uncertainty. They want to have all of the answers. They want to have all of the pieces before they actually make a decision. Because ultimately, the goal is, and again, I've seen this in myself as I've navigated a lot of changes in my business over the past several years, and really since I started, especially after shutting down my first business and just wanting to control. And I think this is I actually know that this is a form of fear. We want to control the results. We want to control, especially if we're in a crisis situation and things haven't really gone the way that we've wanted them to go. Let's say, and I've used this example before, I've helped many clients navigate floods and fires and a lot of people leaving all at once and not being able to hire people, navigating through COVID, a lot of uncertainty. And the fear that then comes with it, especially if you've had to navigate a lot of uncertainty on a consistent basis, there's a lot of fear because we want to try and control the results. We want to try and control everything that happens, not realizing that ultimately we don't really have control over that stuff. And the result of that, the result of not wanting to really function in that ambiguity, in that uncertainty of what's going to happen, and that lack of clarity around all of the pieces that you need to be able to look at and review and see before you can actually make a decision. What comes out of that is it actually slows our rate of growth. Why? Because we're afraid to take that next step. But the truth that I know is that when we open ourselves up to that uncertainty, that's when possibilities come up. That's when we're open to letting go of what's not working and really opening ourselves up to what is possible for our team, for our business, and really for the ultimate success that we're looking to create. But again, most people don't want to lean into that. Most people don't want to lean into, wow, I don't know all of the answers. Most people don't want to lean into looking at other perspectives. And what that does is it prevents that success that we're looking to achieve. So we're going to dig into this a little bit more. And I think that from things that I've gone through myself in my business and navigating, like I said, navigating a lot of, wow, I don't know if this particular project that we're working on, I don't know. And right now I'm launching something new and I don't really know if it's going to work. I don't really know all of the pieces that we've put into place, if they're all going to work or if I'm missing any. And it's really, really hard to lean into that. Like I said, I'm not immune to this. It is really hard to lean into, you know what? Let's get it out there. Let's do this and see what happens. Because again, we want to control everything. We want to control our success. And what that does, as I said, it slows our growth. But what it does is it builds a wall, and we don't even realize we're doing it. It builds a wall around us that nothing can get in, that possibilities can't get in, that other people's perspectives from our team and creativity and the unknown can't get in, because we've kind of built a wall around ourselves, like I said, trying to control what's going to happen next. And again, I've seen, and I had a conversation with a client of mine yesterday, and they've navigated a lot of changes this year. They've had people leave, they had a fire this year, and they're looking to launch a bunch of new things, but also at the same time thinking to themselves, maybe we shouldn't do this because we don't really know what's going to happen on the other side. And I heard this sentence, I can't guarantee the success of this new program. I can't guarantee that if we move this person, if we elevate them into a leadership role, that they're really going to be able to do it. And my answer was, you've already conquered yourself before you even started. You've already convinced yourself that it's not possible before you even started. And I remember he just looked at me, and it was like, it's the truth. You need to lean into that uncertainty of whether or not someone's going to be able to do something, or someone's going to be able to step up, or whether or not a project, a program, or something is going to work. So, and here's the truth. The truth that I know is, yes, controlling the results and pushing results through, trying to push, and I call this the control master, trying to push stuff and make stuff happen and take control over everything, that will get you to a certain level as you grow. But if you really want to scale, you have to learn to let go of a lot of that stuff, which we're going to talk about in a minute, because I'm going to give you some things. If you are afraid to function in uncertainty and ambiguity, I'm going to give you some action items that you can take to actually help you to really say, you know what? I don't know if this is going to work, but we're going to do it anyway. And be okay with that. So, because the truth is that problems never go away. And in fact, the bigger your business gets and the more you really want to lean into scaling, the bigger the problems are going to be. And it happens that way because we tackle a problem, we go through it, and then guess what? We can handle it. So what happens? That next level of problems comes, because guess what? We're able to handle that next level of success that brings that next level problem. So those problems, and I heard someone someone say this the other day, you earn bigger problems. You earn the right to bigger problems, because when we get through that, when we get through those big challenges and those big problems that come our way, we get that next level of success. And guess what? We get the next level of problems. So we earn those problems by achieving the success that we set out to achieve. Sounds weird, right? But I'm going to get to how this all comes together. I like to call it, it's a dance, being like embracing that uncertainty and really learning how to thrive in it. It's a dance between conviction, being convicted as a leader and a CEO, and adaptability. It's learning how to navigate both. It's learning the steps and the dance that you need to take to be convicted in what you're doing and convicted in your vision and what you need to do, what your team needs to do to get to achieving that vision. Because as your business grows, the vision is going to grow and it's going to keep growing. It's like a human being. It's living and breathing, and it's going to keep growing as you grow. So that dance between conviction and adaptability is staying convicted in, we're going to do this, not focusing on the past failures, but learning from them and not being worried about what's going to happen in the future, but really saying, we want to lean into what is it that we want to do. And we're going to set that future and say, this is where we want to go. We want to hit 7 figures. We want to hit 8 figures. We want to launch, I was talking to a client of mine, we want to launch this new whiskey society, something we've never done before. We want to, for me, I want to impact 10,000 small businesses. And then the next sentence is, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I know I'm going to do it. And that is that ambiguity. Because then what that does is that opens up other perspectives from our team, other perspectives from mentors of ours or peers of ours, people who are in our network or our ecosystem. It opens us up to, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I'm going to figure it out. And the age-old phrase of anything is figure outable, coined by Marie Forleo, really comes into play. So it's a dance of really learning how to be convicted. And when challenges and when uncertainty comes our way, we don't run from the challenges, or we don't say, you know what, I need to have on this particular project, I need to make sure I have all of the information before we actually take a step. Because when we want to have all of the information before we actually take a step, what ends up happening is, like I said, it slows our growth and a lot of people freeze. And I think that with everything that we've navigated between COVID and the economy and rising costs and quiet quitting and struggles with, retaining good people are afraid to take a step unless they have all of those pieces. But when we learn we learn that dance between the conviction and the adaptability, that ability to pivot gracefully, that ability to look at a situation and say, wow, I don't know how we're going to do this, but we're going to do it anyway. When we're able to do that, that's how we're able to take our thinking. That's how we're able to take our strategies that we put in place in our business. And that's how we're able to take our vision and our team to the next level. So if you're listening to this and you're at this point now and you're thinking to yourself, okay, I don't know if I can do this. Because like I said, the majority of the people that I have worked with, the majority of the people that I have talked to, the majority of people that I've worked for have a difficult time functioning in that unknown. And we need to learn how to lean into that unknown, because all of the answers that we're looking for, the strategy, the answers of how we're going to do it, all resides in that uncertainty. And the leaders and the CEOs that lean into that ambiguity, that lean into that uncertainty, are the ones that actually are able to come up with solutions to problems faster. They're able to navigate really ugly times in business and come out the other side successful. They're able to weather any storm, whether it's a down economy or mass resignation or whatever it is. And the bigger thing is that they are able to really embrace one of the main qualities of this new era of leadership, which is the vulnerability to embrace that vulnerability, to be vulnerable, to say, I don't have all the answers. I'm not really sure how we're going to launch this new product to achieve this revenue goal that we've set, or to impact the number of people that we want to impact. I don't know how we're going to do it. And it scares the crap out of me, but we're going to find a way. We're going to figure it out and we're going to find a way. So I'm going to give give you, let's see here, 5 steps, 5 things that you can do. If you are faced with this uncertainty and this ambiguity as far as what is going on in your industry, what is going on in your business, and the next steps that you need to take, I'm going to give you 5 things that you can think about that you can start doing to get to the other side of it and to learn how to embrace uncertainty. Because here's the truth that I know. Becoming an entrepreneur, that is your ticket. That is your admission to going down this path that only 1 or 2% of the people will actually have the courage to start. So if you started a business, if you're a leader in a business, learning how to do this is going to set you apart from everybody else. So let's go through these 5 things that you can do, these 5 action steps. And they're not like super hardcore action steps like, evaluate your profit and loss statement. That's coming. But I'm going to give you 5 things that you can do that will help you through whether you're going through a challenge right now or you have gone through a challenge and your business is at a point where you do feel like you're trying to control everything, and which we know that leads to a dysfunctional culture. It leads to a disconnect in your team. So leaning into the uncertainty and leaning into that ambiguity and accepting it is actually going to help you to start healing those things in your business that need to be healed. The connection with your team, getting them to do the work that's really necessary instead of just putting out fires all day. Staying convicted in your vision for what you have, no matter what comes your way. And also just opening yourself up to diverse thinking, diverse ideas, diverse actions, so that you can really, like I said, just achieve that success that you and your team have been looking to achieve. So the first thing is, number 1, and you've heard me say this before in the podcast, we want to really get curious as to what's happening. So when uncertainty comes our way, when I originally started my business, I wasn't really sure, honestly, how to be a consultant. The only consultants I ever dealt with were tech consultants. So I was like, okay, I'm going to model this after them. I didn't know. So instead of running from it, because a lot of things failed when I first started, I wasn't charging the right rates. I didn't have my schedule set up in a way that was helpful to me. And I was also taking on a lot of work that really wasn't what I wanted to do. So instead of running away from it, I leaned in. I got curious about, okay, what really does a business coach do? What really does a business consultant do? And really lean into that uncertainty to find some of those answers and to learn from some amazing people myself. I say the same thing to a lot of my clients, especially ones that have gone through really significant problems. Like I said, whether it is a fire in your business or, really having people after COVID, a lot of my clients had a lot of people that left. And because the industries that they were in were kind of uncertain industries, they didn't really feel like they had a safety net. So they left and went to corporate jobs because they didn't want to stay in that kind of environment. And I can understand that. So looking at the situation and saying, leaning into it and not going into control master mode and trying to prevent more destruction from happening. Because when that happens, again, it actually prevents those possibilities from coming into your business and coming into your beliefs and your thinking. So we want to lean into what's happening. Get curious about what's happening outside of your industry. Get curious about what's happening in your business. Maybe what's happening in your business, maybe your operating procedures are too complex. Maybe you have people in the wrong roles. Maybe you've gone way too wide in your product offering and you need to actually go narrower and deeper. So looking at it and saying, how can we lean into what's going on at this time so that we can start getting some of the answers that we need? We can't wait for the answers to come our way. We can't wait for the help to come our way. We have to go out and seek that help. We have to go out and try and find those answers. For waiting for somebody to create the plan for us and create the solution for us, that is never going to happen. We need to create the plan and create the solution. So the more we can lean in and get curious about, hey, what's going on outside of our industry? And maybe we can take some of that inspiration and bring it into our business. It's one of the big things that I teach and I coach on when I work with people is not just doing what the rest of your industry is doing, but really getting curious and seeing how you can add an income stream, a revenue stream that really aligns with what your business is about and what your customer really wants. So the more we're curious about that, the more we're going to be creative and find creative ways to start turning things around. So number 2 is to start to think bigger by letting go. So what does that mean? Thinking bigger by learning how to let go. So when we first start our business, when we first became an entrepreneur, we want to do everything. We want to try and, like I said, we want to try and control everything. We end up taking on a lot of work that we don't want to do. We end up trying to do everything in our business because we have to. There's an element of hustle. I don't care what anybody says. There's an element of hustle that happens in the beginning so that you can learn all the lessons, you can do all the things, so you can really figure out what's working and what's not working. But what we need to do is we need to start to let go of having control over everything and trying to do everything, because that's what's really holding us back. And as your business grows and as you add on more people and you add on new processes in your business, you're going to need to let go of a lot of the stuff that you're doing. More often than not, 80% of what you're doing, we need to learn how to let go of. And there is definitely a fear behind that, because there's a fear of, if I let go of this, or if we let go of this, there's going to be more work involved to build that next thing. And the truth is, it's in reverse. It's actually in reverse. So what we need to do is we need to learn how to really embrace and work with our team. And that's where it's not just telling people what to do, but it's more about leading people from the top down. So it's not being a task master or a task delegator that you're just giving tasks out to people and telling them what to do. It's more about leading them, guiding them through whatever uncertainty is happening in your business, but even guiding them through even good times. I had a conversation with a client of mine. He runs tours. He has a tour business, and he has someone in a position to help him to run these tours. And he used to do everything himself for the tours. And it's a pretty lucrative income stream. But we ended up moving it over to this woman that works for him, and she misses stuff. She's not very detailed. And really, in reality, she's the wrong person in the wrong position. So I had a conversation with him about it. And he said, and gave him a possible solution of having some other people in the business actually absorb some of the tasks that needed to be done, who were detailed, who were creative, they had that sense of urgency. And his answer was, instead of embracing what was possible, his answer was, well, I'll just take it back and I'll just do it all myself. So when I asked him why, he said, I'm afraid that if I let go of it again, it's not going to be possible to grow it. If I let go of it again and I don't do it all myself, it's still not going to get done right. So I used to do this myself before. Why not take it back again? But at the same time, his next statement was, but I'm dreading all of the work that needs to be done. So as a CEO and as a leader, the way that we start to think bigger by letting go is we embrace the belief of what's possible when we lean into uncertainty, but also at the same time acknowledge and accept that we also still have that belief somewhere that it's not going to work. The thing that we need to lean into more is found in the uncertainty. It's found in, yes, I acknowledge that I have this thought over here that moving one set of tasks to someone else because they're in the wrong position, they're in the wrong role, it might not work. But here's how we embrace uncertainty, is because we tell ourselves, I'm going to lean into what's possible and we're going to try it. And we're just going to move forward. There's your conviction. And if it doesn't work, because I know I know it's there and I'm going to accept it so that it quiets down. And if it doesn't work, I'm going to be adaptable and try something else. There's the dance between conviction and adaptability that I talked about, that's all what that is the key pieces to really thriving and ambiguity. The thought of what if it doesn't work out? That's never going to go away. We just need to accept that. But what we need to do even more is be able to lean into the uncertainty and that belief of, I'm going to lean into what's possible. So thinking bigger and letting go of the things that we shouldn't do or that really aren't in our greatest strength, whether it's letting go of things that you're doing in your business that don't really align, or letting go of tasks that you're doing and letting your team handle those tasks. That is the dance between conviction and adaptability. And the thing that connects the two together is vulnerability, is being vulnerable and saying, I can't do it all. I know that this might not work, but I'm going to I'm going to accept that, but I'm really going to lean in and go all in on what's possible for us. That's how we can start to change, is leaning into that vulnerability, and which is what connects the conviction that we have for our vision and the adaptability that we need to have that helps us to pivot and keep that vision going. So the third thing is bringing clarity and communication back to our team. So when uncertainty happens, when things come up, when that ambiguity happens, how we really lean into it and how we can start to, because we got curious, we really allowed ourselves to be adaptable. We allowed ourselves to say, you know what, this didn't work, but let's see what we can find. Let's see what we can figure out. Let me be curious about what's really happening here. Let me be curious about other industries and see if we can bring that creativity in. And then believing and really embracing what's possible, but accepting that we also have that belief that this might not work, and learning to dance between conviction and adaptability by being vulnerable. And when we're able to do that, all of those things, and we're able to do that, we can bring clarity and communication back between leadership, between us, and between our team, and also leadership and customers, depending if you have to deliver some really hard conversations to customers about services going away, products going away, maybe a pivot in your business and a pivot in, what you're doing. But we need to bring that clarity and communication back, because when people have clarity, and this goes for your team, when people have clarity, they have power. They feel empowered. They're knowledgeable about what's happening. And they're also knowledgeable about the fact that you don't necessarily have all the answers, but we're going to figure out how to do this. And what that does is it starts to open up the conversation of, hey, I have this idea. Let me present it. This is your team member speaking. I have this idea. Let me present it. And I'm not going to be afraid to share my idea. So then another idea. Then another idea. And maybe you even have someone outside of your business that's a co-creator that you can kind of partner with to take this idea and say, I'm not sure if this is going to work, but we're going to try it. I can't tell you, YouTube, that's how YouTube was built. That's how Google was built. That's how all of them work, is really opening yourself up to the unknown and bringing your team into it with you, and really make sure that you allow the ability for them to put their ideas out there and give them clear communication back, and also keep the lines of communication open as you're working through whatever's happening. And this goes along with point number 4, which is starting to take bold action, not big action. A lot of people think that bold action is something big and huge, and it's just this huge step, or you're going to launch something big, or you're going to do something big. Bold action really has to tap into that vulnerability, and really has to tap into that fear of the unknown, and just put it out there without knowing what's going to happen. That's what bold action is. And in our business, yes, we're constantly taking actions. We're doing things, all day long. We're taking actions to put new stuff into place. We're taking actions to, deliver a better experience in our business. We're taking actions to develop our team. But a bold action requires us to tap into courage. A bold action requires us to let go of something that we're doing that isn't really aligning, something that we're doing, an opportunity that we're chasing that really isn't ours to chase, and really leaning into that and saying, it's time to let go, or it's time to lean into this thing that we've been putting off because we've been afraid to do the work. We've been afraid to actually tap into this opportunity that has come our way, that we've kind of let it go, or we've kind of held it off because we were afraid to do the work, or we were afraid that wasn't going to work and we didn't want to have to go through another failure. That's what taking bold action is. It doesn't mean big action. In my mind, it means deep action. It means tapping into that courage and letting go of something that we may have been chasing that really isn't ours, or knocking at a door that really wasn't ours to be knocking at, and shifting direction, or leaning into a hidden opportunity that we've been ignoring all along. And when you do that, when you and your team take those bold actions, and it could be, and this is my client that I was referring to, it could be letting go of key people that were causing more problems, costing the business more money than really what they should have, or really, they were preventing the growth of the business. So learning how to get curious and lean into what's happening, start to think bigger by letting go, getting clarity and communication back. And number 4, taking bold action, not big action. And number 5, one of the most important ones, is really look for the lesson. Look for the lesson in all of this. Now, you could have a lot of uncertainty in your business and ambiguity, and you could be thriving and being successful, but it might show up as feeling stuck. It might show up as things just something's not feeling right. Even though you're achieving a ton of success, something might not feel right. And that is time to lean in and go through the 5 steps that I just gave you. Time to lean in and say, where's the lesson here? What is really happening? Are we focusing on things that really aren't meant for us? And do we need to refocus our efforts into other places? And if you have been through a challenge, or you have been through a crisis, or you have been through a downturn, what are the lessons that you and your team need to learn so that you can make better decisions, so that you can take better steps, so that you can connect people together? And collectively, you can achieve that next level of success that earns you the next level of problems, that earns you the next level of success. So you can see here that leaning into uncertainty, what it does, like I said, it is a dance between conviction and adaptability. A lot of people want to lean into conviction and stay convicted, and then they don't want to hear what anybody else has to say. And yes, you can weigh whether or not you want to embrace an idea, embrace a suggestion, or say, you know what, thank you very much for sharing, but isn't going to work. That's okay. But that also is part of that adaptability. Just being able to take in other perspectives, to take in other ideas. So we constantly want to have that dance between conviction and adaptability. And what connects the two together is being vulnerable. And when we're able to be vulnerable, that's where we can really embrace that uncertainty, to say to ourselves, I'm going to accept that I might have a thought that this isn't going to work, but what I'm really going to follow is that what's possible. And that's what we end up leaning into. So I hope that this episode helped you. And if you find yourself being afraid to step into the unknown, you're not alone. Most people don't. Most people don't want to. Most people want to have all of the answers before they make a decision. But here's the thing. If you're waiting for all of the answers to come, and you're waiting for someone to give you the answers, or you're waiting for someone to give you the plan, or you're waiting for someone to give you all of the information, you're never going to get all of it. So why not start to form your next steps from the information that you have and seek out the information that you need? So till next week, have a great rest of your week, and I will see you soon. Hey there. Thank you so much for listening. If you found value on the show, please follow the podcast so you never, ever miss an episode. And I would love, love, love if you would leave a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify for me. Even better, share the show with a fellow business owner ready to step fully into their CEO leadership role. Because right now, more than ever, the world really needs next level leaders. And by the way, did you know you can text me all your questions and get real-time feedback? You absolutely can. Just text the word CEO to me at 610-215-2838 to get connected. One last goodie for you before I go. If you're ready to scale your business and have a co-creator working right by your side, my C-Suite Mentor Program may be perfect for you and your possible new second in command. Just visit thecsuitementor.com to get started.